Hey, welcome back. This is Garrett with The Actor's Dream. This is video 2 where we're going to be talking about the importance of story and logic. Okay, so story and logic, as I alluded to in the previous introduction video, is going to be the meat and potatoes of what you're going to be working with as an actor. To use a sports metaphor, that's going to be your first receiver in football, right? It's going to be your primary target, right? And anything else after that is going to be where you're checking down to in terms of other strategies. So the major strategy you want to start out with is looking at story and logic, right? Why is that important? Well, all of us who are aware of Stanislavski, right? One of his fundamental important quotes is that actors must create a logical sequence of actions, right? And that's important for many reasons, right? We need to have something that's logical. We need to have something that has an intentional sequence to create an arc, to create three-dimensional characters, to create all of those things, right? The thing that isn't really touched on in that is those are the things that are also helping you remember your lines because it helps you make sense of those things. So things like super objective, beats, intentions, obstacles, actions, where you're breaking things down from bigger things into smaller, it helps you be able to digest and get more nuanced in your character work, in your actions, and all of those things, right? The idea that every play would have a beginning, every story needs a beginning, middle, and end, right? All of these structural things help to further the idea of logic and story, and it's going to be the main thing that you want to hold on to, right? And it's also connected. Remember, we talked about in the techniques in video 1 that organization was one of those main primary things that's going to allow you to draw meaning from what you're doing and what you're learning. Okay, so what we're going to be doing right now, and for those of you watching right now, if you look at the link in the description, there's a link to the monologue we're going to be working on, so you can reference that. Just download it. It's going to take you to theactorsdream.com to our documents section, and you'll be able to download that monologue and work with us. Right now we have Deonza and Hannah right here, and they're going to be helping me out today. Okay, so what they have, what you have, just take a look at it, it's actually the final monologue from a great play by Will Eno called Tragedy, a Tragedy. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is to read it out loud once, and Deonza, can you go first? And just read it out loud once, and then put it down, and try to give the monologue back to me in your own words, trying to remember as many of the components as possible. This is not about memorizing it verbatim. This is just about, can you extract the primary aspects of the story, okay? So as you're reading, again, just trying to connect, what is the logic? What are we talking about? How does one thing go into the next, okay? So just read it out loud, take a moment, put it down, and then give it your best shot, okay? Great.
If I ever asked for a story at night, either my mother or father always told me this one. Let's see. Once there was a world, and it had, everything in the world in it. Rocks, trees, oceans, animals, people, houses, governments, all of it. It was great, and everyone thought and felt. Then everyone started to imagine it getting ruined and run down. And it started happening in reality. People started hurting and killing everyone. But then this boy or girl was born that everyone loved due to their beauty. And the child said to everyone, I would be scared too. So everyone was scared together.
Great, let's just take that much, okay? So take a look at it, 1 through 10, right? And just solidify the main ideas of the story. And then when you're ready, just give it your best shot, in your own words.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
If anybody asked, or if I asked for a story, my mom and dad always told me this story. They told me about a land that had everything in it. It had rocks, trees, people, everything, and everybody was happy. And then everybody started to believe that things were bad, and they started killing everybody. But it was okay because there was a boy or girl that was born that said, I would be sad too.
Great, great. So basically, you're right, there were 1 or 2 lines that you missed, but did you get the gist of those first 10 lines, would you say? Yeah, right? Could you get up in a rehearsal and rough out staging that, just knowing that much, right? As opposed to just reading it, right? Yeah. And also, what was the experience like doing that? Just reading it out loud and then having to say it in your own words. Can you describe what that was like?
It was a little bit more relaxed knowing I didn't have to have it verbatim and I could just follow a story.
Great, great. And then the other thing is, if you look at it now, right, go back and look at it, do you notice what you missed? And if so, can you just say them out loud?
Number 2,
Okay,
let's see. Once there was a world and it had, everything in the world in it.
okay.
Number 4, it was great. Everyone thought and felt.
And now what, did you miss the whole lines or did you just miss aspects of it or it wasn't exact?
I would say it was aspects within those
Sure,
lines.
great. What else? The list, I don't think you had the whole list, but you
Yes.
had most of them, right? And I don't know about the order.
Yes.
And then I remember the 10th one, so everyone was scared together, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do another experiment, and then we're going to go to you, Hannah, okay, for the second half of it, okay?
Great.
So what I want to do is I'm just going to prompt you just to see if this helps you, right? So I'm just going to ask you a question, and I'm going to prompt you and see if it helps provoke those lines, okay? So what would happen if you ever asked for a story at night?
My mother and father would tell me this one.
And how did it start?
Everybody was very happy.
Sure. Let me ask that again. How do a lot of fairy tales start?
Once upon a time.
Right. So how does this story start?
Once upon a time, everybody was very happy.
Right. Once there was a world, and it had, everything in the world in it, right? So, that's how this story, how do a lot of stories start, right? Again, finding a way to associate those things, right? Everything in the world in it. What was in the world?
Everything. There was rocks, trees, animals, government.
Right. And how was it?
Everything was great.
Right. And then what happened?
And then everybody started to believe that it would be ruined. And it was.
Right. And that happened, right? Right? And then what did people start doing then?
They started killing each other.
Right. But then something else happened.
And then there was a boy or girl born who was able to make a difference.
Great. And so what did that boy or girl say?
I would be scared too.
So then what did everybody do?
Then everyone was scared together.
Right? So you see how you can track that logic? So that's our job, right? So, okay, this, then this, then this, then this, then this, right? Now within that, there's a list. Now, is there anything meaningful about the list? Not really, right? And we're going to be, in future videos, we're going to talk about how to remember lists and how to make those things meaningful. But do you see how in 5 minutes, you already have a layered
Yes.
set of meanings for this first 10 lines, right? And that's, again, creating layers of meaning, right? So story and logic, right? Patterns, organization, all those things are important, right? So let's take it now going from 11 down to 25, Hannah. Can you read from 11 to 25 just out loud again, just like Deonza did, and then do your best, take a look at it, put it down, and try to spit it back out in your own words.
And all their worries turned into a sort of comfort, and their doubts about things turned into a kind of faith, sort of. And new people were born during this, and new words were invented to talk about people with. Newness, like, reigned over the world in the story. Then a bright white horse showed up. I don't know why or what happened with it or any of the rest of it, because I always fell asleep. At the end, though, I bet my mother or father whispered, "Sweet dreams." I can almost see them leaning over and pulling the sheet up and whispering something simple like that over me in my dark room. "Good night, sweet dreams," someone is whispering over me, because they loved me. And it is nighttime, and they wanted to say something. "Good night, sweet dreams," they whisper, and then walk backwards out the door and close it.
Okay. So take a look at it one last time. And when you're ready, just give it your best shot.
All right. So everyone's worries turned into comfort, and their anxieties turned into faith.
Great.
And new people were born during this time, and new words were invented to talk about people with. And there was a white horse.
Great.
But I don't remember what happened with the white horse because I must have fallen asleep at that time. But I can imagine my mother or father saying sweet dreams. I can see them pulling the covers over me and whispering something like good night or sweet dreams because they love me, because it's nighttime. Good night, sweet dreams. And then they slowly back out of the door and shut the door.
Beautiful. That was amazing, right? So look through. Where can you identify where you might have missed something or had to kind of paraphrase, or you actually missed something? And again, while you do that, Hannah, this is important, right? Because feedback, right? You're saying it out loud, then you go back, and it's a self-diagnostic tool, right? You say it out loud, you go back to the text. Okay, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? So then you don't have to keep working on the whole piece, right? You know what's there already, so focus on what you didn't hit, right? Mm-hmm. So what jumps out at you, Hannah?
I said anxieties instead of doubts.
Sure. But again, could you rehearse this using that word? And then,
yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong word. Now I will switch that word, right?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I missed line 15 that says newness, like reigned over the world in the story.
Great. Now, this is jumping a little bit ahead, but just because we're here, okay, you missed that. There are many ways you could potentially lock that in, right? But looking at the two previous lines, can you imagine a way to remember that one? What?
New people and new words.
Right. Rule of three, right? That's the third one. Mm-hmm. Great. What else?
There's a lot of mentioning of whispered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I hit on that.
Sure, but you had the basic action, right? But you needed to flesh it out, right? Then something else I remembered, right? Because they love me, it's nighttime, and then you missed, and they wanted to say something, but again, that's three, right? Yeah. So again, and we'll talk about this in further videos, right? But talking about organization, structure, patterns, right? Creating those layers of meaning. Logic and story is the big enchilada, but knowing even those simple things of, or look at 11 through 14. It all starts with and, right? Yeah. Recognizing those patterns, recognizing those things, and then you can just self-diagnose, go back, next time you do it, it's already improved. It's already better, right? So, great. So that's the basic idea, and again, we're going to start small, right? We could delve into this and go into multiple layers, right? But the basic idea with logic and story, right, is not only is it going to give you an arc, a three-dimensional character, but it's going to give you that grounding so that in your mind you can, it's meaningful, it's memorable, right, and it's repeatable, okay? So two main things that I want to just stress before we finish this video, right, is that the idea of saying it out loud. So many times as actors, right, I don't need to say it out loud, or I have roommates, I don't want to sound like a crazy, I don't want to annoy people. Like, find a place to do it. Speaking of annoying, you like that train signal? That sound of the train? But the idea that saying it out loud, there is no other way for you to confirm. There isn't, right? Otherwise, you are fooling yourself, right? Well-intentioned, but you don't know whether you know it or not unless you say it out loud, right? And the second thing is, and this is crucial, is the ability to say it in your own words. This is monologues, scenes, anything. If you can't say it in your own words, you don't know it well enough, right? And to all the playwrights out there, I'm not saying that the playwright's words are not important, right? I love you, playwrights. What I'm saying is in the rehearsal process and in the process of getting it from text into your heads, right, you need to be able to translate, right? You need to be able to understand and make it meaningful. And then it's about, over time, fleshing it out and getting it word perfect and verbatim. Right, playwrights? Yes, Samuel French and dramatists? So does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Awesome. So that is, we're going to end logic and story there, and then we're going to pick up this monologue work in subsequent videos and dig deeper into it. But again, in basically the span of 5 minutes, each of you were able to get roughly off book to the point where you could get up and work, right? And not hold something in your hand, which is transformative. It's a game changer, okay? So thank you for that. So that's the end of Logic and Story, okay? Leave any comments or questions that you have about this video in the comments section below. Again, any links to the monologue are in the description. The next video, we're going to be talking about linking, so make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and follow us to video 3 talking about linking.